The Enchanted Dreams of Eldoria. Once upon a time, in a land far beyond the edges of any map, there was a hidden realm known as Eldoria. Eldoria was a kingdom woven from stardust and moonlight, where trees whispered secrets to the wind, and rivers sang lullabies to the stars. It was a land untouched by time, where magic flowed like the tides, bringing dreams to life. At the heart of this wondrous realm stood the Celestial Tower, a magnificent spire made of silver and sapphire, stretching towards the heavens. It was said that those who climbed to its peak could glimpse into the dreams of the cosmos. But only one person had ever reached the top, Queen Seraphina, the guardian of dreams. Seraphina was no ordinary queen. She was born under the rare lunar eclipse, when the moon and stars aligned perfectly, bestowing her with the power to weave dreams into reality. She ruled with kindness, ensuring that every soul in Eldoria had peaceful, magical dreams. But one night, an unusual stillness fell over the kingdom. The dreams that once danced through the night sky had vanished, leaving the people restless and lost. The call of the starborn child. Deep in the enchanted forests of Eldoria, in a quiet village named Lumerus, a young girl named Ilara woke up from a peculiar dream. In it, she saw a shimmering golden thread floating in the air, leading her toward the Celestial Tower. A soft, melodic voice echoed through the wind, whispering, "The dreams have faded, the stars grow dim. Only you can restore their hymn. Follow the thread, seek the light. Only then will dreams take flight." Ilara, a child of humble origins, had always felt different. She could hear the whisper of the leaves, see the glow of unseen energies, and sense the emotions of the stars above. But she never imagined that she would be called upon to save the dreams of an entire kingdom. Determined to uncover the truth, she packed her small satchel with a loaf of honey bread, a vial of stardust gifted by the village elder, and a tiny silver bell that had belonged to her mother. With a deep breath, she stepped beyond the safety of her home, following the golden thread that shimmered like sunlight caught in morning dew. The journey begins. Ilara's journey took her through the whispering woods, where ancient trees murmured secrets to one another. Here, she met Orin, a gentle-hearted stag with antlers that glowed like fireflies. "The dreams are missing, little one," Orin spoke, his voice a gentle breeze through the leaves. "You must reach the Celestial Tower before the eclipse of silence. If the eclipse passes before the dreams are restored, they may be lost forever." Ilara nodded, determination in her heart. "Then I must hurry. Will you guide me, Orin?" With a graceful bow of his head, Orin allowed Ilara to climb onto his back, and together, they ventured deeper into the forest. The River of Forgotten Dreams. As they traveled, they reached the River of Forgotten Dreams, a luminescent stream where lost dreams drifted like glowing petals. It was here that they met Nalia, a water spirit with sapphire blue hair and eyes that held the depth of the ocean. "To cross this river, you must offer a dream of your own," Nalia said, her voice rippling like water. Ilara hesitated. She had always dreamt of flying among the stars, touching the moon, and dancing with the constellations. But if giving up this dream would help save all of Eldoria, she knew what she had to do. She took a deep breath and whispered, "I give my dream to the river. Let it flow where it may." The water shimmered, accepting her offering, and a path of silver lilies bloomed across the river, allowing her and Orin to cross safely. The Celestial Tower. After days of travel, they finally arrived at the base of the Celestial Tower. Its spiral staircase twisted endlessly into the sky, disappearing into the clouds. As Ilara stepped forward, a voice echoed from above. "You have come far, starborn child. But before you may ascend, you must face your own fears." Before Ilara's eyes, shadows rose from the ground, forming shapes of doubt and hesitation, every fear she had ever felt. The fear of failure, of not being enough, of being lost in a world too vast to understand. Her heart pounded, but then she remembered the voices of those she had met, the wisdom of Orin, the guidance of Nalia, the melody of the golden thread. She closed her eyes and whispered, "I believe in the magic of dreams. I believe in myself." At her words, the shadows dissolved, and the staircase became solid beneath her feet. She climbed, higher and higher, until she reached the top. The Guardian's Secret. At the summit, she found Queen Seraphina, standing beneath a sky filled with motionless stars. In her hands, she held an empty hourglass. "You have done well, Ilara," Seraphina said, her voice filled with both sorrow and hope. The dreams of Eldoria were fading because the people stopped believing in them. They let fear and doubt cloud their hearts. But you have rekindled the light. Serafina turned the hourglass upside down, and as the first grain of shimmering sand fell, the sky erupted with brilliance. Dreams returned to the night, weaving through the air like fireflies. A warm glow filled Eldoria, and peace was restored. As the world shimmered around her, Serafina placed a gentle hand on Ilara's shoulder. "You are the new guardian of dreams, Ilara. Keep the light alive." And with that, Ilara felt herself drifting, her body lighter than air, as she soared into the sky, becoming one with the stars. The everlasting dream. From that night on, whenever someone in Eldoria closed their eyes, they would hear a soft melody carried by the wind, a lullaby of hope, courage, and dreams reborn. And among the stars, if one looked closely, they would see a figure dancing among the constellations, her silver bell ringing softly, forever guiding the world into peaceful slumber. The mystic river of dreams. Long ago, beyond the edges of time, where the stars whispered to the wind and the moonlight painted silver trails on the sky, there flowed a river unlike any other. It was called the mystic river of dreams, and it held the dreams of every living soul within its gentle currents. Some dreams sparkled like diamonds, filled with hopes and desires, while others drifted in soft hues, peaceful and calm. But one night, as the world lay in slumber, the river's waters stilled. The dreams that once flowed freely had begun to vanish, fading like morning mist. Without the river, dreams would be lost forever, and a deep silence would settle over the land, one from which no dreamer could ever awaken. The Dream Keeper's Call. In the heart of a quiet village named Siloria, nestled between rolling hills and fields of luminous flowers, there lived a boy named Kale. He was no ordinary child. Kale had always felt a strange connection to the stars, often hearing their hushed melodies in the night. But that evening, as he lay in bed, a new voice spoke to him. "Kale, the river is fading. If the dreams are lost, the world will never wake again. Follow the golden mist, and seek the heart of the river before the final star fades." With a startled breath, Kale sat up. A soft golden mist curled outside his window, weaving through the air like a silent melody. He knew that this was no ordinary dream, it was a call, one he could not ignore. Without hesitation, he wrapped his cloak around him, grabbed his lantern, and stepped out into the quiet night. The path of shimmering echoes. The golden mist led him through the meadows, where night-blooming flowers opened at his passing. Fireflies danced in the air, and the wind carried whispers of dreams yet to be born. Soon, he arrived at the forest of echoing dreams, a place where ancient voices of the past hummed softly, lingering between the trees. As Kale stepped forward, he felt the ground shift beneath him. From the shadows, a dream warden emerged, a tall, cloaked figure with eyes like twin moons, filled with infinite memories. "To reach the mystic river, you must answer a question," the warden said, his voice like a distant echo. "What is the essence of a dream?" Kale thought for a moment. He recalled the dreams he had seen, the ones that soared with hope, those that soothed with love, and the quiet ones that carried unspoken wishes. With a steady voice, he answered. "A dream is a whisper of the soul, a light that never fades." The warden studied him for a moment, then nodded. The trees parted, revealing a glowing path leading deeper into the forest. The keeper of forgotten dreams. Kale followed the path until he reached a glimmering lake. In its center stood a small island, where an ancient willow tree stretched its silver branches toward the sky. Beneath it sat an old woman with hair like woven starlight. She was Liara, the keeper of forgotten dreams. "Child of the waking world," she said softly, "the river fades because dreamers have lost their belief in dreams. Fear and doubt cloud their hearts, and the dreams that once danced in the night are now mere shadows." Kale stepped closer. "Then tell me how to restore the river." "There must be a way." Liara smiled gently. "To rekindle the flow of dreams, you must release a dream of your own into the river. One that is dear to your heart." Kale hesitated. His deepest dream had always been to fly among the stars, to dance upon the constellations and hear the songs of the universe. It was a dream he had cherished since childhood. Could he truly let it go? Taking a deep breath, he knelt by the water's edge. "I give my dream to the river. Let it flow and bring light once more." As his words settled in the air, a soft glow spread from his fingertips. The dream, shaped like a golden feather, drifted into the water. The moment it touched the river, a ripple of light spread across its surface, and then, the water moved. Dreams, countless and beautiful, began to flow once more. Colors danced in the currents, and the soft hum of slumbering wishes filled the air. The river was alive again. The return of the dreamer. Liara placed a gentle hand on Kale's shoulder. Because of you, the world will dream again. As the light surrounded him, Kale felt himself drifting, as if the stars had lifted him into the sky. When he opened his eyes, he was back in his bed, the first rays of dawn painting the sky in soft gold. Had it all been a dream? Or had he truly saved the river? As he sat up, he noticed something beside his pillow, a single golden feather, glowing softly in the morning light. From that night on, whenever someone in Celoria closed their eyes, they would dream once more, carried by the gentle currents of the mystic river. And if one listened closely to the wind, they would hear a voice, whispering, "Dream well, dear traveler. Your dreams are safe once more." The eternal wind and the whispering isles. Far beyond the reach of ordinary maps, past the golden horizons where the sky met the endless ocean, lay a mystical archipelago known as the Whispering Isles. This was Northwest ordinary place, for the wind itself carried voices of long-forgotten stories, secrets of the past, and echoes of dreams yet to be fulfilled. The islands floated gently atop the sapphire blue sea, each one veiled in a mist of wonder. At the heart of these isles, where the tallest cliffs kissed the clouds, stood Zephyr's Keep, a temple older than time itself. Legend spoke of the eternal wind, a sacred force that gave breath to the dreams of the world. But something had gone terribly wrong. One by one, the whispers began to fade, and with them, the dreams of the people. If the last whisper was lost, the eternal wind would cease to flow, and the world would fall into a silent slumber. The child of the wind. In a quiet coastal village on the Isle of Saren, a boy named Aaron sat at the edge of the cliffs, watching the waves dance below. He had always felt a deep connection to the wind. It spoke to him in ways no one else could hear. But tonight, the breeze carried a different message, a warning. The whispers are fading, the wind grows weak. Only you can find what the lost ones seek. Follow the tide, seek the light. Only then will the wind take flight. Aaron's heart pounded. He had always believed the legends of the Whispering Isles were merely bedtime tales, but the urgency in the wind's voice told him otherwise. He knew that if the eternal wind truly faded, his home, his world, would fall into eternal silence. Without hesitation, he set off toward the harbor, where an old sailboat named the Sky Dancer waited. It had once belonged to his grandfather, a sailor who had spoken of the distant, uncharted isles beyond the known waters. Aaron unfurled the sails, feeling the last remnants of the wind guiding him forward. The journey had begun. The Sea of Echoes. The voyage was unlike any other. The further he sailed from home, the more the air thickened with silence. Soon, Aaron found himself in the middle of the Sea of Echoes, a vast expanse of water where sound barely carried, and even the smallest whisper could be heard for miles. It was here he encountered his first guide, a mysterious Lumira, a spirit of the wind who took the form of a radiant blue bird. "You seek the heart of the eternal wind," Lumira spoke, her voice like a breeze through the trees. "But the path is hidden, guarded by the keepers of silence. To find the way, you must listen, not with your ears, but with your soul." Aaron closed his eyes and let the quiet surround him. And then, he heard it. A faint whisper, almost too fragile to grasp. It was calling from the Isle of Forgotten Voices, a place said to hold the echoes of those who had once dreamed but had since been lost to time. The Isle of Forgotten Voices. Guided by Lumira, Aaron reached the shore of the forsaken island. Ruins of an ancient civilization lay scattered across the land, their walls etched with inscriptions of dreams that had never been fulfilled. The air was heavy with longing, and the silence was almost unbearable. "The keepers of silence reside here," Lumira whispered. "They feed on forgotten dreams, erasing them from existence. If you wish to restore the wind, you must return the lost dreams to the sky." As Aaron stepped forward, shadowy figures rose from the ground, the keepers of silence. They had no faces, only hollow voids where eyes should be. They whispered in voices that twisted with doubt and fear. "Dreams fade. Wishes are empty. The wind is dying." Aaron clenched his fists. He would not let the whispers vanish into nothingness. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small silver flute, his mother's last gift before she had passed away. He had never played it in front of others, but now, he knew it was time. Closing his eyes, he let his heart guide the melody. A soft tune filled the air, weaving through the ruins, carrying the memories of those who had once dreamed. One by one, the inscriptions on the walls began to glow, and voices, soft, hopeful, full of longing, rose from the ground, swirling into the sky like a gust of wind. The keepers of silence recoiled, their forms dissolving like mist. The whispers had returned. The return of the wind. The sky above shimmered as the eternal wind, now rekindled, surged through the whispering isles. The temple at Zephyr's Keep lit up in radiant gold, and the sea itself seemed to breathe once more. Aaron felt the wind rush around him, carrying with it the laughter of children, the dreams of travelers, and the songs of those who had long been silent. "You have restored the whispers," Lumira said, her form glowing ever brighter. "The world will dream again." As the first light of dawn broke across the horizon, Aaron found himself back on the deck of the Sky Dancer, the sails billowing with renewed force. He turned toward home, knowing that the wind would never fade again, not as long as there were dreamers who dared to listen. The Whispering Isles remember. From that day forward, whenever a traveler set sail upon the Whispering Isles, they would hear the wind sing, a melody of dreams reborn, carried by the voices of the past and the hope of the future. And if one listened closely, they might just hear the sound of a flute, playing softly in the distance, ensuring that the whispers would never fade again. The moonlit ocean and the starborn voyager. Far beyond the waking world, past the edges of the known sea, there lay a vast and endless expanse known as the moonlit ocean. Unlike any other waters, this ocean glowed softly under the light of the eternal moon, its waves shimmering like liquid silver. It was said that those who sailed its tranquil waters could reach the horizon of dreams, a mystical realm where unfulfilled wishes and forgotten memories drifted like stars upon the tide. At the heart of this legendary sea, upon a small island called Lunara, lived a young girl named Isla. From the moment she was born, the stars had whispered to her, calling her the Starborn Voyager. She did not know what this meant, only that she felt a longing in her heart, as if the ocean itself were calling her name. The Whisper of the Moon. One quiet evening, as Isla stood by the shore, a voice as soft as a breeze brushed against her ear. "Isla, the stars grow dim, their dreams adrift. Sail beyond, let fate uplift. Find the horizon, seek the past. Only then will dreams hold fast." Isla's heart quickened. The stars, her oldest friends, were in peril. If they lost their light, the world would lose its dreams. She knew what she had to do. With the moon as her guide, she would set sail across the moonlit ocean to find the lost horizon. The journey begins. Under the glow of the full moon, Isla boarded her small but sturdy boat, the Celestial Tide. She untied the ropes, letting the currents carry her forward. The sea, calm and luminous, whispered stories of those who had come before. The stars above twinkled in encouragement, lighting her path. As she sailed deeper into the ocean, she noticed that the stars' reflections in the water began to float. They weren't mere reflections, they were lost dreams, drifting aimlessly. Isla reached down, cupping a glowing orb in her hands. A vision appeared before her, of a child who once dreamed of flying, but had long forgotten the wish. The dream was still alive, waiting to be found. But before she could release it back to the sky, the ocean suddenly darkened. The shadows of the deep. From beneath the waves, dark shapes slithered, forming into the wraith-like figures of the night tides. These creatures fed on lost dreams, swallowing them into the abyss. One of them, tall and looming, reached toward Isla, its voice a rasping whisper. "Dreams fade, hope sinks. The horizon of dreams will never rise again." But Isla refused to believe it. Gripping the glowing dream tightly, she held it to her heart. "Dreams never truly fade," she whispered, and as she did, the light in her hands burst into a golden glow, driving the night tides back. The ocean brightened once more, and the stolen dreams began to rise toward the sky. The Celestial Keeper. With renewed resolve, Isla pressed forward until she saw something extraordinary, a bridge of light stretching across the water, leading into the stars themselves. She had found it, the horizon of dreams. Standing at its edge was a celestial being clad in flowing robes of the night sky. His eyes held galaxies within them, and his voice resonated like a song carried by the wind. "You have come far, Starborn Voyager," he said. "The horizon of dreams is where all forgotten wishes reside. But the stars can only shine if the dreamers remember them." Isla thought of the vision she had seen, the child who once wished to fly. She understood now. dreams only faded when people gave up on them. She knelt before the celestial keeper and lifted her hands, releasing the dream she had saved. As it rose, the sky above shimmered, and the dimming stars reignited one by one. A golden light spread across the horizon, restoring the lost dreams of the world. The return of the light. The celestial keeper smiled. Because of you, the dreams will live on. You have given them back their light. A soft wind wrapped around Isla as the ocean itself seemed to lift her, guiding her boat gently back to Lunara. When she awoke, she was back on the shore, the tide lapping at her feet. Had it all been a dream? But then she looked up, the stars, once dim, were now brighter than ever, their reflections dancing upon the moonlit ocean. And in her hand, she found a single silver feather, glowing with celestial light. From that night forward, whenever someone gazed upon the stars, they would feel a quiet warmth, a reminder that dreams never truly fade, so long as someone believes in them. The Forest of Time and the Keeper's Secret. Beyond the edges of the known world, where the rivers ran like silver threads through valleys untouched by time, there stood a mystical woodland known as the Forest of Time. Unlike any ordinary forest, its trees were not merely wood and leaves but guardians of the past, present, and future. Their bark shimmered with faint golden light, and their roots twisted deep into the heart of eternity itself. It was said that within this sacred place resided the Keeper of Time, the guardian of every moment ever lived and those yet to come. But something had gone terribly wrong. The whispering winds that once carried the songs of past ages had fallen silent. The great hour tree, the heart of the forest, had begun to wither, and with it, time itself had started to unravel. If the forest faded entirely, the world would be lost in an endless void where neither past nor future existed, only an eternal stillness. The child of time's calling. In the quiet village of Myron Vale, nestled at the border of the great woods, lived a young boy named Wren. He had always felt a strange pull toward the forest, hearing whispers in the rustling leaves that no one else could. The elders spoke in hushed tones about the tales of the keeper, but none dared to venture into the depths of the woodland, fearing the passage of time that flowed unpredictably within. One night, as Wren stood by the edge of the forest, watching the moonlight glisten upon the treetops, a voice unlike any he had ever heard before reached him. The hour fades, the roots decay. Only you can find the way. Follow the echoes, seek the past. Or time itself will breathe its last. A chill ran through Wren's spine. He knew then that he had been chosen, though he did not understand why. With determination in his heart, he stepped beyond the village's protective borders, disappearing into the shimmering embrace of the Forest of Time. The River of Forgotten Years. The deeper Wren walked into the forest, the more he felt the air shift around him. Time did not flow in a straight line here, memories drifted through the trees like mist, and echoes of voices from long ago whispered in his ears. Soon, he arrived at the River of Forgotten Years, a translucent stream where moments lost to history flowed endlessly. As he gazed into the water, he saw flickering images, children playing in the distant past, lovers parting with sorrow, kings and queens making choices that shaped entire civilizations. These were memories cast away, never to be recalled. As Wren knelt beside the river, a figure emerged from its depths. It was Ithel, the guardian of lost moments, a spectral being draped in a flowing robe that shimmered like the water itself. You seek the keeper, child of time. Ithel's voice was like a ripple across the stream. Wren nodded. The hour tree is dying. Time is breaking apart. I need to find the keeper before it's too late. Ithel studied him for a long moment before responding. To reach the keeper, you must first face the truth of time itself. You must retrieve a lost moment from the river, one that has been cast away in regret. Only then will the path open to you. Wren hesitated. What moment should he seek? He reached into the water, feeling the cool currents rush around his fingers. Then, an image rose before him, his own past. A day he had long buried in sorrow. The day he had let go of his sister's hand in a storm, losing her to the raging waters. Tears stung his eyes as he clutched the memory. I will not forget again. The river shimmered, and a pathway of glowing stones formed across its surface, leading him deeper into the forest. The Keeper of Time. At the heart of the forest, Wren finally arrived at the base of the hour tree. It was massive, its bark carved with countless rings, each one representing a century. But the golden glow that once surrounded it had faded, its roots cracking and brittle. And beneath its withering branches stood the Keeper of Time. She was unlike anything Ren had imagined. Neither old nor young, neither man nor woman. Cloaked in a robe woven from the fabric of night, her eyes held the weight of endless ages. "You have come far, child of time," the keeper murmured, her voice layered with 1,000 echoes. "But the forest cannot be saved unless you restore what has been lost." Ren stepped forward, holding out the memory he had taken from the river. "I want to return this moment. To set it right." The keeper's eyes softened. "Time is not meant to be rewritten, only remembered. Hold your past close, and let it guide your future." At her words, the memory dissolved into golden light, weaving itself into the hour tree's branches. The tree shuddered, and then time itself exhaled. The roots of the hour tree deepened, its bark regained its luster, and the golden glow returned. All around them, the whispers of the past and future began to sing once more. The forest of time was alive again. The return to the present. As the forest stabilized, the keeper placed a hand on Ren's shoulder. "You have done what many could not. Time flows as it should once more. But remember, it is not about changing the past, it is about carrying its lessons forward." With a gentle touch, she sent Ren back through the forest, the path leading him home. When he stepped beyond the tree line, the village of Myron Vale lay before him, just as he had left it. Yet, something felt different. In his pocket, he found a single golden leaf from the hour tree, glowing softly. A reminder that time, though fleeting, was never truly lost. From that day on, Ren listened to the wind more closely, for he knew now that within the whispers of the leaves and the rustling of the rivers, time itself was always speaking. And if one listened carefully enough, they might just hear the secrets of eternity. The Celestial Library in the Lost Book of Dreams. Far beyond the clouds, past the silver rivers of the sky, there existed a place whispered of only in legends, the Celestial Library. Suspended in the heavens, it floated upon an island of stardust, held aloft by ancient magic. It was said that within its endless halls lay the recorded dreams, thoughts, and histories of every being that had ever lived or ever would live. Its golden spires touched the edges of the cosmos, and its bookshelves stretched endlessly, containing the very fabric of time itself. For centuries, the Celestial Library had been watched over by the librarians of the stars, eternal beings who ensured that no story was lost, no memory faded. But something had gone terribly wrong. The most sacred book within the library, the Book of Dreams, had vanished. Without it, dreams across the universe had begun to wither, fading into empty nights. If the book was not found soon, the world would forget how to dream, and the light of imagination would be lost forever. The Chosen Seeker. In a quiet town nestled between rolling hills and the whispering sea, a young girl named Lyra often sat by her window at night, gazing at the stars. She had always felt as though the sky held secrets meant only for her. She could hear the hum of constellations and feel the soft pull of the moon's glow. But it wasn't until the night of the eclipsing star that she understood why. As the sky darkened, a radiant silver light descended upon her room. A glowing figure materialized before her, a celestial librarian named Eldrin, draped in robes woven from the night itself, with eyes like twin galaxies. "Lyra," Eldrin's voice was a gentle echo, "the Book of Dreams has been lost, and with it, the power of imagination is fading. The Celestial Library calls for you. You have been chosen as its seeker. Only you can retrieve what has been taken." Though fear and excitement battled in her heart, Lyra nodded. The stars had always spoken to her, and now, she would answer their call. The skyward journey. Eldrin guided Lyra outside, where a staircase of shimmering light spiraled upward into the heavens. As she ascended, the wind carried voices, fragments of unfinished dreams and forgotten hopes. Higher and higher she climbed until she reached the floating island that cradled the Celestial Library. The sight stole her breath. Towers of glowing quartz spiraled toward the cosmos, and vast bridges made of swirling nebulae connected endless corridors of bookshelves. Celestial orbs floated between the halls, their light pulsing gently, as if whispering to one another. At the library's entrance stood Grand Archivist Noctis, an ancient being with a beard like flowing stardust and robes shimmering with the colors of galaxies. "Lyra, time is short. The Book of Dreams was taken by the Shadow Collector, a being who lurks in the forgotten corners of existence, feeding on lost stories. If it is not reclaimed soon, the power of dreaming will be lost forever. You must journey into the realm of forgotten tales to retrieve it. But beware, the Collector will do everything to keep it hidden." The realm of forgotten tales. Guided by Eldrin, Lyra ventured to the deepest chamber of the library, where a portal of swirling ink and golden light pulsed with an eerie rhythm. Steeling herself, she stepped through, and was immediately engulfed in shadow. She emerged in a world unlike any she had ever seen. The realm of forgotten tales stretched infinitely before her, filled with crumbling story fragments, half-written sentences floating in the air, characters frozen mid-motion, castles unfinished and dissolving into mist. The air hummed with whispers of tales that had once been imagined but were now abandoned. Through the haze, Lyra saw a distant tower, twisted and dark, standing at the center of the void. She knew the collector would be there. As she moved forward, shapes emerged from the mist, forgotten characters from old tales, their faces hollow, their voices empty. They reached toward her, as if longing to be remembered. She felt a pang of sadness for them. Without a second thought, she whispered their names aloud, giving them form once more. One by one, they regained their light, their voices returning in bursts of color and sound. They thanked her, pointing her toward the tower ahead. The confrontation. The tower loomed above her, its doors creaking open as if sensing her arrival. Inside, the air was thick with silence. And there, upon a pedestal of obsidian, lay the Book of Dreams, its pages flickering like trapped light. "You should not have come," a voice murmured from the darkness. The shadow collector stepped forward, a shifting figure of ink and void, eyes gleaming with stolen light. Dreams are fragile. They fade, they break. Why preserve what is destined to be lost? Lyra clenched her fists. Because dreams give us hope. Without them, we are nothing. The collector sneered. And yet, you cannot take this book. It is mine now. With a flick of its shadowed hand, the collector unleashed tendrils of darkness, but Lyra stood firm. She reached into her heart, calling upon the light of the celestial library. A glow erupted from her chest, pure, radiant starlight. It illuminated the darkness, forcing the collector to recoil. Summoning all her courage, Lyra grasped the Book of Dreams. The moment her fingers touched its cover, golden light exploded outward, unraveling the shadows. The collector let out a final, hollow cry before vanishing into nothingness. The restoration of dreams. The realm of forgotten tales shuddered as the book's power returned. The half-finished stories around her became whole again, their endings written, their characters freed. The portal reappeared, pulling Lyra back into the celestial library. As she arrived, the Grand Archivist and the librarians of the stars surrounded her, their eyes filled with wonder. "You have done what no other could, Seeker of Dreams," Noctis said, his voice filled with gratitude. "The book is restored, and with it, the light of imagination will shine once more." Lyra placed the book upon its rightful shelf. At once, a golden ripple spread throughout the library and beyond, reaching the world below. That night, for the first time in what felt like forever, every child, every dreamer, and every heart filled with wonder dreamed again. The Dreamkeeper's Promise. As Lyra descended the celestial staircase, she looked back at the library one last time. The stars above twinkled brighter than before, as if in silent thanks. From that day on, she listened closely to the stars, knowing that somewhere beyond the sky, the celestial library would always keep watch, ensuring that no dream would ever be truly lost again. Echoes of the Eternal Sea. Beyond the known waters, past the edge of the horizon where the sky melts into the ocean, there lay a sea unlike any other, the Eternal Sea. Its waves were not made of water, but of shimmering light, carrying whispers of forgotten dreams and echoes of voices lost to time. It was said that those who ventured into its depths could hear the songs of the past, the secrets of the present, and the hopes of the future. Yet, as the centuries passed, fewer and fewer travelers returned from its luminous tides. Legend spoke of a force that guarded its heart, a being neither of shadow nor light, but something in between. They called it the Keeper of Echoes, and it was said to be the guardian of all memories that had ever touched the sea's surface. The Call of the Tide. In a small fishing village known as Norwin's Rest, nestled along the easternmost shore of the world, lived a boy named Finian. He was no ordinary boy, for he had always heard things others could not. When the wind howled through the cliffs, he could hear voices speaking in forgotten tongues. When the tide rolled in at night, he heard whispers in the foam, secrets of sailors who had long since vanished. On the eve of his 15th birthday, as Finian sat upon the shore, the sea spoke to him in a way it never had before. The waves glowed faintly, and a soft voice echoed within his mind. "Finian, the echoes are fading. The keeper calls. If the last echo is lost, the sea will forget, and the world will sleep in silence. Follow the tide, seek the heart of the sea, and restore what has been lost." Finian's heart pounded. He had heard tales of the eternal sea all his life, but never had he imagined it would call upon him. Without hesitation, he made his way to the village docks, where his father's old ship, the Starborn Gale, lay moored. With only a satchel of food, a compass that had never failed him, and the weight of destiny upon his shoulders, he set sail into the glowing tides. The voyage into the unknown. As Finian sailed deeper into the eternal sea, the waters changed. The deep blues of the known world faded into liquid silver, and the waves hummed with an ancient melody. The stars above seemed closer, as if they were watching him, guiding him. Days passed in a haze of wonder and uncertainty. He saw islands that drifted like clouds, their shores untouched by time. He saw great leviathans, their translucent bodies gliding beneath the waves like living constellations. But as he ventured further, the sea began to change. The whispers faded. The glow dimmed. And then, the storm came. The tempest of forgotten voices. A wall of darkness rose from the sea, swirling like an abyss. The sky above cracked with silent lightning, and Finian felt the pull of the current dragging him forward. He tried to turn back, but it was too late. The storm engulfed him. He was thrown from his ship, sinking into the depths of the silent sea. Yet, he did not drown. Instead, he found himself drifting through a realm of shadow and mist, where figures moved like memories trapped between waking and dream. A voice, deep, resonant, and filled with sorrow, spoke from the void. "You seek the heart of the sea, but do you understand what you ask?" Finian turned and saw the keeper of echoes. It was neither man nor beast, but something ancient and shifting, its form ever changing like ripples upon the water. "I seek to restore the echoes," Finian said, his voice unwavering. "The sea is losing its voice, and soon, the world will forget. Tell me what I must do." The keeper studied him for a long moment before replying. "To restore the echoes, you must find the first memory, the very first voice that ever touched the sea. But beware, for time has hidden it well, and without it, the sea will be forever silent." The search for the first memory. With newfound purpose, Finian was cast from the realm of shadow and back into the glowing waters of the eternal sea. His ship had miraculously been restored, as if the storm had never been. But now, he knew where to go. Guided by the faintest whispers, he sailed deeper than any had ever dared. He passed through the Isles of Reflection, where the water mirrored not just the sky, but the very soul of those who gazed into it. He navigated the veil of lost currents, where time itself seemed to flow in circles. And finally, he reached the heart of the sea. It was not what he expected. There was no great treasure, no towering monument. Instead, there was only a small, luminescent droplet suspended above the water, pulsing like the heartbeat of the ocean itself. The first memory. Finian reached out and touched it. At once, the sea came alive. The restoration of the echoes. A great surge of light erupted from the droplet, spreading across the entire ocean. The whispers returned, first as a murmur, then as a song. Voices from across time and space filled the air, stories that had been lost now woven once more into the fabric of existence. The Keeper of Echoes appeared before Finian one last time, its form now solid, whole. "You have done what no other could," it said. "The echoes will never fade again. The sea will remember." As the light settled, Finian found himself back on the deck of the Starborn Gale. The storm had passed, the sea once more glowing with life. He turned the ship toward home, knowing that the world would never again be silent. The Song of the Sea. When Finian returned to Norwin's Rest, he told his tale to all who would listen. And though many thought it just a story, sailors swore that the sea now sang more sweetly than before. And if one stood upon the shore at night, listening closely to the waves, they would hear the faintest whisper of a boy's voice, carried upon the tide, a voice that had saved the eternal sea. The Song of the Starweaver. Beyond the edge of the waking world, past the veil of night where time drifts like a forgotten melody, there existed a place known only in the whispers of dreams, the celestial loom. Suspended in the vastness of the cosmic expanse, it was neither sky nor earth, but a realm woven from stardust and song. At its heart, where the threads of fate intertwined, lived the last of the Star Weavers, an ancient being named Selisara, who wove the dreams of mortals into the grand tapestry of the universe. But something was amiss. The loom's silver threads had begun to fray. The dreams of the world were unraveling, slipping away into the void where forgotten things go. If the last thread broke, all dreams, all stories, would be lost forever. The chosen dreamer. In a quiet town nestled between rolling hills and a moonlit lake, a boy named Elias often lay awake at night, gazing at the stars. Unlike the other children, he did not dream of grand adventures or hidden treasures. Instead, he dreamt of songs, melodies older than time itself, notes that carried the weight of forgotten stories. One night, as he lay beneath the starlit sky, the wind carried a voice to him, a voice as soft as moonlight and as endless as the sky. Elias, the threads are breaking. The song is fading. Only you can find the lost melody. Follow the light, seek the loom, and mend what is undone. With a heart filled with both fear and wonder, Elias rose. Guided by the glimmering constellations above, he walked beyond the borders of his world, stepping into the unknown. The path of starlight. The journey was unlike anything Elias had ever imagined. He walked upon bridges of shimmering light, through fields of slumbering stars that pulsed gently with dreams yet to be born. As he traveled deeper, the air itself began to hum, carrying echoes of forgotten lullabies. At the edge of a silver river, he met his first guide, Orion, a celestial guardian in the form of a great, luminous wolf. Its eyes held galaxies within them, and its voice was a deep, soothing melody. "You seek the celestial loom," Orion said. "But the path is guarded by the echoes of silence, beings who thrive on lost stories and consume the voices of those who stray too far. If you wish to reach the loom, you must carry a song of your own." Elias hesitated. He had always heard the melodies, but he had never sung them aloud. Yet, he knew he had no choice. Taking a deep breath, he let the song within his heart rise. A single note, fragile yet resolute, drifted into the air. The stars above shimmered in response, parting to reveal the way forward. The echoes of silence. The deeper he traveled, the quieter the world became. Shadows twisted through the void, whispering in voices stolen from forgotten dreamers. There is no song left. There is no story to tell. The loom is dust, and all will fade. Elias clutched his chest, where the melody still glowed faintly. He knew these were the echoes of silence, the remnants of dreams that had been abandoned, their voices stolen by the void. If he let them in, he too would be forgotten. With all his strength, he sang. His voice wove through the air, golden threads spinning from his very breath. The shadows recoiled, unraveling like torn fabric, until only the path remained. The celestial loom. At last, Elias reached the heart of the cosmos. Before him stood the celestial loom, an intricate web of silver and gold, glowing softly as it wove the dreams of the universe. Yet, its threads were tattered, frayed at the edges, barely holding together the fabric of existence. And there, at its center, was Selisara, the last star weaver. She was unlike anything Elias had imagined, neither young nor old, neither mortal nor divine. Her form shimmered like starlight, shifting between countless shapes, as if she herself was a story still being written. "You have come far, little dreamer," she said, her voice the soft hum of a galaxy in motion. "But the final thread is breaking. If it snaps, all dreams will fade into silence." Elias stepped forward. "Tell me how to mend it. I will do whatever it takes." Selisara studied him for a long moment. "A thread cannot be restored with mere will," she said. "It must be rewoven with a song that carries all the dreams ever lost. Can you sing such a song?" Elias swallowed hard. He was only a boy. How could he carry such a burden? But then he remembered the melodies that had always filled his nights. He thought of the forgotten voices, the stolen dreams, the stories waiting to be told. He took a deep breath, and he sang. The song of renewal. The moment his voice met the loom, the universe shuddered. Golden threads burst into existence, weaving themselves into the gaps, restoring the fabric of the cosmos. The stars above pulsed in harmony, their light growing brighter. The echoes of silence dissolved, their sorrow replaced with music. The loom spun faster, stronger, until it hummed with the power of all stories yet to be told. Selisara watched as the last thread was restored. A smile, ancient and knowing, touched her lips. The song lives on, thanks to you. As the final note faded, Elias felt the weight of the journey lift. He had done what he was meant to do. The celestial loom was whole once more. The return of the dreamer. When Elias opened his eyes, he was back in his village, lying beneath the stars. Had it all been a dream? But as he sat up, he heard it, the song, still faint but growing, carried on the wind. And in his palm, a single golden thread shimmered softly. From that night on, he never feared the silence, for he knew that as long as there were dreamers, the song of the Star Weaver would never fade. The Temple of Moonlight and the Guardian of Forgotten Wishes. Far beyond the mortal world, past the shifting tides of time and the veils of stardust that drift through the night sky, there existed a place whispered of only in forgotten legends, the Temple of Moonlight. Suspended between the realms of wakefulness and slumber, it was a sanctuary where unfulfilled wishes gathered, waiting for a dreamer bold enough to bring them to life. At the heart of the temple stood the celestial pool, a vast, shimmering expanse of silver-blue water, reflecting the wishes of all those who had ever gazed longingly at the moon. Some wishes glowed with radiant light, still filled with hope. Others flickered weakly, their faith nearly extinguished. And some, darker, colder, sank deep into the abyss, forever lost to the void of forgotten dreams. For centuries, the temple had been watched over by the Guardian of Moonlight, an ethereal being who wove these wishes into new stars, ensuring that no dream was ever truly lost. But something had gone terribly wrong. The pool had begun to dim, the stars in the sky flickering as fewer and fewer wishes reached them. The Guardian's power was fading, and soon, the wishes of the world would vanish forever. The Chosen One. In a quiet village nestled at the base of the Evernight Mountains, a girl named Leora often found herself staring at the moon. Ever since she was a child, she had felt a strange connection to its glow, as if it were watching over her, whispering secrets only she could hear. When she closed her eyes, she could almost see another world, one bathed in silver light and humming with forgotten voices. One night, as she lay beneath the sky, a soft voice called her name. Leora, the wishes are fading. The temple grows silent. Only you can restore the light. A gust of silver mist swirled around her, wrapping her in warmth, and before she could even take a breath, she found herself standing on the steps of an ancient temple bathed in moonlight. The temple's trials. The Temple of Moonlight was unlike anything she had ever seen. Massive stone pillars stretched high into the sky, their surfaces carved with constellations that shifted and shimmered as she passed. Silver lanterns hovered in the air, casting soft glows that pulsed like heartbeats. At the entrance, a figure awaited her, Orin, the Guardian of Moonlight. His form was neither solid nor entirely spirit, his robes woven from the fabric of the night itself, his eyes glowing like twin moons. "You have been chosen," he said, his voice a song carried by the wind. "But the temple does not grant its secrets freely. To restore the wishes, you must pass the trials of light and shadow. Only then will you awaken the celestial pool." Trial of the First Wish. Orin led her to the first chamber, where the walls shimmered with thousands of tiny lights, each one a wish waiting to be fulfilled. "To pass this trial, you must find the very first wish ever made upon the moon," Orin explained. "But be warned, wishes grow heavy with time. Some lose their way, becoming twisted reflections of what they once were." Leora stepped forward, closing her eyes. She let the whispers guide her, the voices of countless dreamers weaving together into a melody. And then she saw it, a tiny light, flickering faintly, buried beneath countless others. As she reached for it, shadows surged forward, forming into figures with hollow eyes and whispered voices. "You cannot save them. Wishes fade. Dreams die." But Leora clenched her fist around the first wish, holding it close. "No dream is ever truly lost," she whispered. The shadows recoiled, and the tiny wish glowed brighter. The first trial was complete. Trial of the Silent Moon. The second trial led her to the Chamber of Echoes, where the very moon itself was said to weep for the wishes it could no longer hear. For this trial, Orin said, "You must restore the moon's song. Long ago, it sang to those who wished upon it, carrying their dreams to the stars. But silence has taken its place." Leora listened. At first, there was nothing. Then, a faint hum, a melody buried beneath the quiet. She knew what she had to do. Closing her eyes, she began to hum, allowing the melody to rise from deep within her heart. The chamber trembled, and the echoes of the moon's lost song filled the space. The walls glowed with renewed light, and the temple itself seemed to exhale, as if it had been holding its breath for centuries. The second trial was complete. The final trial, the Abyss of Lost Wishes. At the heart of the temple lay the greatest challenge, the Abyss of Lost Wishes. Here, the wishes that had been abandoned, forgotten, or given up on sank into the darkness. And now, they threatened to consume the celestial pool forever. Orin's voice was solemn. To restore the pool, you must face the abyss. You must give hope to a wish that has long since faded. Leora stepped to the edge of the abyss and looked down. Countless orbs of dim light floated in the depths, each one a dream that had been let go. She knew she could not save them all. But she could save one. She reached out, letting her heart guide her. And then, she found it, a single wish, nearly extinguished, waiting for someone to believe in it again. Holding it close, she whispered, "You are not forgotten." The abyss shuddered, and a great wave of silver light erupted from the depths. The lost wishes rose, returning to the celestial pool. The temple trembled, its ancient power restored. The return of the light. Orin smiled, his form glowing brighter than before. "You have done what none before could. The moon will shine once more, and the stars will carry the dreams of the world once again." Leora felt the warmth of the temple surround her, and as she blinked, she found herself back in her village, the moon shining brighter than ever above. She knew then that she would never again look at the night sky the same way. For now, she understood, every wish mattered. Every dream had a place among the stars. And as long as there were dreamers, the Temple of Moonlight would never fall silent again. The guardian of the eternal forest. Beyond the borders of the waking world, where time ebbs and flows like a forgotten melody, there lay a hidden realm known as the Eternal Forest. It was a place where the trees whispered secrets of ancient times, where rivers gleamed with liquid starlight, and where every living thing carried a piece of a story waiting to be told. Legend spoke of a guardian, an ageless being who watched over the forest, ensuring that its magic never faded. But something was changing. The light of the forest was dimming. The whispers of the trees grew faint, and the river slowed, as if time itself had begun to unravel. The guardian, once strong and eternal, had vanished, and without them, the balance of the forest was beginning to collapse. If nothing was done, the eternal forest would fade into nothingness, lost forever beyond the veil of time. The Child of the Moon. In a quiet village on the edge of the known world, a boy named Kalen often stood at the forest's edge, gazing into its depths. Unlike the others in his village, he did not fear the ancient trees or the shadows that moved between them. He felt the pull of something greater, something that had been calling to him for as long as he could remember. One night, as the full moon bathed the forest in silver light, the call became impossible to ignore. A voice, soft and melodic, drifted through the air. "Kalen, the forest is fading. The guardian is lost. Only you can awaken the heart of the woods. Follow the path of the silver leaves, and seek the light that lingers beyond the veil." With nothing but a small satchel and a heart filled with determination, Kalen stepped beyond the village's borders, leaving behind the world he had always known. The path of silver leaves. The deeper he ventured into the eternal forest, the more the world around him changed. The trees stood impossibly tall, their branches woven together like a tapestry of emerald and gold. Fireflies flitted through the air, casting a soft glow upon the path ahead. And then, he saw them, silver leaves, scattered along the ground like fragments of fallen stars. Kalen followed their trail, his footsteps silent against the ancient earth. As he walked, the whispers of the trees grew clearer, telling tales of a time when the guardian still walked among them, when the forest thrived and magic flowed freely through its roots. But now, the stories were fractured, broken. And then, he reached the river. The bridge of forgotten time. A river of silver light stretched before him, its surface smooth as glass, reflecting the sky above. At its center stood an ancient bridge, half shrouded in mist. Carvings lined its stone railings, symbols of stars, moons, and creatures of old, their meanings lost to time. As Kalen stepped onto the bridge, a voice echoed through the mist. "You seek the guardian, child of the moon. But time has turned against you. To cross, you must remember what has been forgotten." Images flickered in Kalen's mind, memories that were not his own. He saw the forest as it once was, bathed in golden light, the guardian walking among the trees. He saw their hands outstretched, their voice weaving the song that kept the forest alive. And then, he saw darkness. A shadow spreading, swallowing the light. And the guardian, falling. The mist parted, and the bridge solidified beneath his feet. He had remembered. He had passed the first trial. The Keeper of Shadows. Beyond the bridge, the forest grew darker, the air heavy with something unseen. And there, standing between the trees, was a figure, cloaked in shadows, their face obscured. "You have come far, little one," the figure said, their voice like wine through the leaves. "But the forest's heart is sealed, and only those who understand both light and shadow may enter." Kaelin hesitated. "Who are you?" The figure stepped forward, and the shadows lifted slightly, revealing piercing silver eyes. "I am Nyx, the Keeper of Shadows. The Guardian was my sibling. And they are lost beyond the veil. If you wish to find them, you must go where no light remains. You must enter the Hollow of the Forgotten." The Hollow of the Forgotten. Nyx led Kaelin to a great tree, its roots twisted into an archway, leading into darkness. "This is where the Guardian was taken," Nyx said. "They were lost to the void, where dreams fade and memories are consumed. If you enter, you may never return." But Kaelin did not hesitate. He stepped forward, into the blackness. The air was cold. Silent. No whispers, no wind. Just emptiness. But then. A flicker of light. It was faint, but it was there. A single, golden thread floating in the abyss. Kaelin reached out. The moment his fingers touched the thread, the darkness shattered. Light erupted from the void, illuminating the space around him. And there, at the center, was the Guardian. They were kneeling, their form barely visible, their light dim. "Wake up," Kaelin whispered. "The forest needs you." The Guardian's eyes fluttered open. And with them, the eternal forest breathed again. The return of the Guardian. Light poured through the hollow, spilling out into the forest. The trees straightened, their golden glow returning. The rivers ran swift once more, carrying the magic of the land with them. Kaelin stood beside the Guardian as they stepped back into the world. Their presence, once lost, now radiated through the forest, and the balance was restored. Nyx appeared beside them, their silver eyes watching Kaelin with quiet approval. "You have done what no other could," they said. "The eternal forest will sing again." Kaelin felt the warmth of the forests around him, and as he closed his eyes, he heard it, the heartbeat of the woods, strong and steady, echoing through time. And he knew that as long as the Guardian remained, the eternal forest would never fade again. The Timekeeper in the ocean of time. Far beyond the horizon, where the sky kisses the endless sea, there lies a place that no mortal ship can reach, the ocean of time. Its waters do not merely reflect the present, but ripple with echoes of the past and visions of the future. The waves, touched by celestial light, flow in two directions, one carrying forgotten memories to the shores of yesterday, the other bringing unborn dreams from the realm of tomorrow. At the heart of this ethereal sea stands the Timekeeper's sanctuary, an ancient lighthouse whose light does not guide ships, but weaves the currents of time itself. The keeper of this sanctuary, an immortal being known as Morel, the Timekeeper, watches over the ever-changing tides, ensuring that time does not collapse upon itself. But something was wrong. The ocean's rhythm was breaking. Waves of past and future clashed against one another, distorting reality. Entire days began vanishing, swallowed by the sea, while others reappeared in the wrong places. If the balance was not restored, time itself would shatter. The child of the shore. On the farthest edge of the known world, in a quiet fishing village named Drifthaven, lived a boy named Ren. Unlike the other villagers, who were content with their simple lives, Ren spent his nights watching the sea, listening to the whispers of the tides. He had always felt that the ocean was speaking to him, calling him towards something greater. One evening, as the full moon cast its silver glow upon the waves, a voice echoed in the wind. "Ren, the tides are unraveling. The past is drowning, the future is slipping away. Come to the sanctuary, where time waits for no one." The boy turned his gaze toward the distant horizon, where a faint golden light flickered, a beacon calling him forward. He knew what he had to do. The voyage to the sanctuary. Ren set sail that very night in a small wooden boat, guided only by the stars and the pull of something unseen. The journey was unlike any he had ever known. The sea beneath him shimmered with shifting images, reflections of lives long past and glimpses of futures yet to come. He saw himself as an old man, wise and weathered, and in the next moment, as a child barely able to walk. The ocean was alive, breathing with the essence of time itself. As he drifted deeper into the unknown, the waves began to churn violently. The sky darkened, and a whirlpool of shadow and light formed ahead. The tempest of lost hours had awakened, a storm where time itself was devoured. A monstrous figure rose from the depths, a being woven from fractured time, its form flickering between countless identities, as if trapped in an endless loop of existence. "Turn back," it roared. "The past cannot be mended, the future cannot be stolen." But Ren refused to turn away. He gripped the sides of his boat, his heart steady. "I do not seek to change time," he said, his voice unwavering. "I seek to protect it." The storm raged around him, testing his resolve, but Ren did not falter. The ocean recognized his determination and, at last, the tempest calmed. The path to the sanctuary lay ahead. The Timekeeper's sanctuary. Ren stepped onto the shores of a floating island, where the ancient lighthouse of the Timekeeper loomed before him. Its golden light, once strong, now flickered weakly, struggling against the chaos of the tides. At the entrance stood Morel, a figure draped in flowing robes that shimmered like liquid moonlight. Her eyes, deep and knowing, held the weight of countless centuries. "You have come far, child of the shore," she said. "But the heart of the ocean is breaking. Time is slipping away because the hourglass of tides has cracked. Without it, the sea cannot flow in harmony." Ren looked past her, where an enormous glass structure stood, suspended above the water. It was fractured, its sand spilling freely into the waves below, disrupting the balance of time itself. "How do we fix it?" he asked. Morel studied him. "The sands of time are not lost, they are merely displaced. To mend the hourglass, you must retrieve the missing grains, from the past and the future. But be warned, each grain carries a memory, a moment in time. Some may beg to be left untouched. Others may seek to trap you within them. The journey through time." Ren took a deep breath and stepped forward. The moment he touched the hourglass, the world around him shattered. He was no longer on the floating island. He stood in a past long forgotten, drift haven, but years before his birth. He saw his parents as children, running along the shore. He saw the village before it had grown. And then, he saw something else. A storm. A great wave, rising from the horizon. It was the storm that had taken his grandfather's life. The lost grain of time was embedded in that moment. If he took it, would the past change? Would his grandfather survive? His hands trembled. The temptation was strong, but he knew, he was not here to rewrite history. With great effort, he reached for the grain without altering anything else. As soon as his fingers touched it, the scene dissolved. Next, he found himself in a future yet to be. Drifthaven had grown into a grand city, its people thriving. He saw himself standing at the harbor, older, wearing the cloak of a sailor. He saw himself teaching children about the tides, passing on the wisdom he had gained. And in the distance, the lighthouse still stood, its golden light strong once more. The missing grain was there, glimmering in his future self's hand. The older Ren looked at him and smiled. "You know what must be done." Ren took the grain, and the world shattered once more, restoring the balance. He was back in the sanctuary, the two grains of time resting in his palm. Morel nodded approvingly. "Now, return them to the hourglass." Ren stepped forward and let the grains fall. The moment they touched the fractured glass, the hourglass healed. The golden sands resumed their steady flow, and the ocean beyond calmed. Time was whole once more. Morel placed a hand on his shoulder. "You have done what even I could not. The ocean of time will remember your name." The eternal voyage. When Ren awoke, he was back on his small boat, drifting toward home. But he knew, he had not imagined it. The sea was different now, its whispers clearer, its song more vibrant. And when he looked back at the horizon, he saw it, the faint glow of the Timekeeper's sanctuary, standing eternal, watching over time itself. He smiled. His journey was far from over. Because time, like the ocean, never truly ends.